0.6. So by this point, you should be able to graph anything I give you. And there's a lot of you who figured out yesterday that you can't graph anything I give you. So what you need to do is you need to start practicing in your practice booklet. Be honest with yourself. Have you actually done any of those questions in the practice booklet? Are you just stealing answers out of the back of the answer booklet? Are you just copying off the friend? If you're honest with all that and you're still struggling, you need to come talk to me, and we'll hook you up with a plan that can actually get you so you can graph it. At this point, you should be automatically. Not just by hand, but also in your calculator. You're going to get better if you're honest with yourself. Do the work. Put it in. Put that work into it and then figure out where you're struggling. And then I can help you. Now we're going to analyze these graphs. So, when we are given a graph, what kind of things do we look for? Continuous or discrete? What else can we look for? Yeah. Anything else that's major that you can look for? There's a couple more things. Yeah. The scale, yeah, so you should be able to tell me what the scale is. So is it going up by ones or twos or 20s or thousands? What else, Josh? The equation, you should be able to figure out, if we give you an equation, yeah, you're not expected to go from graph to equation, I don't think. Yeah. It's not a big thing, but yeah. It's something you should be able to do. If you look at it, you should be able to kind of figure out what it's going up by. There's one more major one I'm looking for, though. There we go. We need that domain and range. When you look at a graph, you should be able to figure out all those things. Most of the graphs we work with are only in quadrant 1. Which quadrant is quadrant 1? Yeah, top right. Perfect. Anybody have any ideas why we would mainly work in quadrant 1 when we're analyzing graphs, Matthew? Yeah, because they're both positives. We don't talk a lot about negatives. So we don't talk a lot about going into debt, so like going into negative money. And when we do, we usually talk about it as positive money, right? Like repaying debt. So it's like, this is how much debt you have. Or we don't talk a lot about negative years. So how old were you went back 5 years? Like, you don't talk about that very often. Those are weird questions, so we deal a lot with positives. It's just how we talk. You know? If we're talking about the value of something, it goes up into the positives or down from a positive. It doesn't go past 0. Perfect. Sketching graphs. So that's going to be the first step to all these questions. These are going to be your test questions. You're going to get given a scenario, you're going to graph it, then you're going to analyze it. If you want to graph it using your calculator, that's fine. If you want to graph it by hand, that's fine. As long as you're graphing it properly. Unless it specifically says, show your work, you can use your calculator. So if it asks you for an X-Intercept, and you get that X-Intercept by using your calculator, that's fine. We don't care. Unless it says, show your work. Make sense? Alright, so let's sketch this graph. We got a car. The car's worth 20 grand. And what do we know about cars' values over time? Yeah, they go down. So we've been given this equation. And that's going to represent the value of your car from the day that you bought it. So to sketch a graph, we need to first decide what kind of scale we want. So we got Y going up the top and we got T going along the bottom. What should our Y be?
5,000.
5,000? That might be kind of big, right? If we're doing 5,000, then it's going to be 4 things big. That's going to be pretty small. 2,000? 2,000 is pretty good. Yeah, 2,000 would probably work. I'm going to go up by 1,000 because I think there's enough space for it. So this will be 1 and 2. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Perfect amount of space, almost like it was built that way. You can sit in the back corner. And those are all thousands, right? I didn't write out thousands because that's going to be a waste of our time for you guys watching me draw the thousands on a board. What are we going to do for time? On the bottom. What should we go up by? 5 years at a time, do you think? How long are you going to, here's a question, how long are you going to have your car for? When you talk about how old your car is, you talk about it in months, days, you know, in years. And just 1 year at a time, right? It's 1 year old, 2 years old. So go up like that. So it's 1, 2, 3. You don't talk about how often do you see a car that's 30 years old, unless it's like a vintage car. You don't see a lot of like Honda Civics that are like 30 years old. Yeah, and is it an older truck compared to others? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't talk a lot about cars that are super old. It doesn't happen. Your regular car that you're buying right now, if you last you 10 years, you'll be happy. So the scale for the years is going up by 1. Your appropriate window, what would your appropriate window be? If I asked you to write out an appropriate window, there's a certain way to do it. What do you do, Josh?
The window you go down to Y scale and goes like that.
That's how you find your appropriate window. When I ask you on a test, write an appropriate window, how are you possibly going to do that? There's a certain method. Pardon? Yeah, so like it's this. This is our window, right? And we've decided that's appropriate. From 1 to 10, from 0 to 20,000, going up by thousands. But there's got to be a certain way to write that.
There's the 3 numbers, but I don't know.
Yeah, it is the 3 numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Give it a shot, Taylor. Close. Ella?
It's like X0.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be very close also. We're missing a couple of things. Minimum, maximum scale, yeah, so you're all on the right track. What kind of brackets do you have to use? Square brackets. So you go X, you go dot, dot, or colons, and then you go square bracket. And you put the minimum value, then you put the maximum value, and then you put the scale. So for X, what was our minimum value? 0. Comma. What was our maximum value?
10.
On ours, it's 10. For this question, it should actually go up to 20. I should have gone up by 2. Or it should have gone up to 15. Yeah. How about by 2s? Just think about it. Yeah. For X's, Joe's always right. I should just let him do this. If you think about X's, if we set that equal to 10, we'd still have value to the car. You want to get it to a point where you would have no value to the car. So if you did this in your calculator, you would have seen that 10 doesn't work. You done? Awesome. Okay, head straight back to the gym. Yeah, so. Okay, 10? Oh, wait, 10? Yeah, no sweat, it's not good. 20 all the way down. So our maximum is 20. Now what is our scale? Liam? Our scale is going to be 2. So you just put 2. Zero. Very sloppy 0. My board is still off range, so where I'm writing, it's actually just below it. It messes with your brain when you're writing, you see it in a different spot. So your Y, what's the minimum value? 0. What's your maximum value, down? 20,000, right? Here it's 20 because I was too lazy, but yeah, it should be on yours 20,000. Get rid of that comma. So yeah, let's do that. the scale at? 1,000, right? If it asks you for the scale, that's what you should do. Any questions? Okay. Actually, let's go back. We never sketched it. Yeah, let's practice sketching because that was a little rough on the desk. So it says sketch the graph. Sketch the graph. You're going to want to find 2 points on the graph and then just connect them. 2 good points to find, because I'm probably going to ask you for it later, are your X-intercept and your Y-intercept. So, how do you find X-intercept? What do you have to do to find X-intercept? Joe, how do you find X-intercept? You do. You guys, I know you don't. You got to set something equal to something. What do you do? Aaron?
Y is 0.
Y equals 0. If you're looking for your X-intercept, you set Y equals 0. So that means 0 is equal to 20,000 minus 1250 T. I think some of you guys are really struggling with this part where you have to use algebra. The only way you're going to get better at using algebra to solve things is practicing your algebra. I hate to say it, that's the only way you're going to get better. Sit down, do some questions. Gotta get rid of your 20,000. So move it to the other side. Minus 20,000 is equal to negative 1250 times T. Now you gotta get rid of this negative 1250. Divide it. Yeah, exactly. So 20,000, negative 20,000 divided by negative 1250 is equal to T. T equals 16. So, on your graph, where's that dot? Where's the dot we just found? It's on the x-axis. So, it's where y is equal to 0 and t is equal to 16. So, it's down here. That's 10, 12, 15, 10, 12, 14, 16. It's right here. Perfect. You got 1 point, but that doesn't do us any good because from that 1 point, we could draw a line absolutely anywhere. So you need a second point. My suggestion is that you find the Y-intercept. You can find, honestly, any random point you want. So you could put in t equals 1 and solve for a point. And that'll give you a point somewhere. And those 2 points, you could graph them, draw a line, and you're going to get the same line. But I'm saving you work, because I'll guarantee you that the next 2 questions are probably going to be something along the lines of Y-intercept, X-intercept, this. I'm going to ask you. So why not just do it now? Half the work. Josh.
So it doesn't say it's looking left.
It will, and that's exactly it. So it should say sketch the graph. So if you punched in your calculator, you found where that is, and you can draw it accurately, then just draw it. It's your choice. If you're good with your calculator, this unit can be quick and easy. If you're not good with your calculator, I'm showing you how to do it. If you want to get good with your calculator, come in and practice. How do you find your Y-intercept? X equal to 0. So you got Y is equal to 20,000 minus 1250 times 0. That's just going to cancel that out. Now Y is equal to 20,000. Doesn't that kind of make sense? You read the question, could you not have just plugged that in already on your own? Common sense? When she bought the car, what was it worth? 20,000. That's at time equals 0. So you got one up here. You're then going to draw a straight line. You're going to need a ruler, use the edge of your calculator. Whatever you got to do, but it's got to be straight. If it's straight, your life is going to be way easier because all the questions from there on, you can basically just look at your graph. I could try to draw it straight, but I don't know how this is going to work. It's going to read this with a pencil. Give it a shot, see what happens. Yeah, it's drawing the line right now. I might just push it. Yeah. Oh, God, thank you. Okay, but it should be a nice straight line. So then if I ever asked you, what's the value of the car after 4 years? You could just go, oh, 4 years? The car was worth 14 grand. On my graph? On my graph, it's equal to like 13.5, 14.5, 14. Yeah, it's worth a lot. Yeah, Josh.
So the car paid $20,000 for
worth nothing. That's exactly what this graph says. So in this question, your Y-intercept told you what the car was worth when you first bought it. Your X-intercept tells you what it's worth. Does it tell you what it's worth in 16 years, or does it tell you how long it'll take to become worthless? So they use title max. Okay. Determine the value of car in 5 years. You got a bunch of options. You can look at your graph and tell me, but it better be a perfect line. You can punch it into your calculator and it'll tell you. Or C, you can write out your equation, put 5 where X is, and calculate it. Do whatever method you want. Tell me what the car is worth. There, 17, 13,000. Who agrees? 14 and a half.
13,750 if you put it in your calculator.
That's the problem. That's the problem with using the graph. Is that looking at the graph might just give you a real close approximate. On your last test, if you drew your graph really well, the test could have taken me about 30 seconds. Because every question was just look at the graph and hit the answer. Yeah. What's it worth in 5 years? So let's check it out. So Y equal to 20,000 minus 1250 times 5, which I believe is 6,250. That means Y is equal to 13,700. Check my math. I'm not sure. Is it right? That's the value of your car in 5 years. So if you looked at your graph, you went to 5 years. The problem with 5 years is we went up by 2, right? So now you got an issue with hitting the dead center of that, which is going to be tough. And when you go straight up, you end up kind of in the middle. And guessing the dead center of that properly is also very difficult. Do it this way, perfect. If you use the Y value key on your calculator, that would also give you an exact number. Josh. Yeah, so that's not the norm, right? Okay, that's not the norm. So that's the value of this car. That's the value of like a regular, like a Toyota Prius or something, or a Kia Sonata or Soul. Yeah, they say a Hyundai Sonata, and then next up is a Kia Sonata or something. Yeah. So determine when the car will be half the purchase price. That's some good ideas. Ella and Carter came up with a great idea. Ella and Carter both said the same thing. They looked at their graph. Matthew, stop. They looked at their graph and realized, hey, it's a straight line. It's going down by the same amount every year. So it's just half. They did 0 to 16, figure out halfway is 8. Yeah, the answer is 8 years. What's another way you can figure it out, Josh? Yeah, exactly. So you could have just plugged in a value, go back to your original equation, right here. This is your original equation, right? What would you set Y equal to? 10,000. It's half the value of the car. y equal 10,000, solve it out, t would be equal to 8. Say that.
Since it's going to happen, same way, it's obviously split in half, or just automatically the known as 10,000.
Yeah, exactly. It's obvious either way, right? You know the value's going to be 10,000. You just got to figure out that half the years is the same way. That trick only works if you have linear equations like this. That trick won't work if you have an x squared somewhere along the way, because then it's not growing at a steady pace. So you got to be very careful with that. E, state the t-intercept and explain what it represents in this situation. We've already found it. Remember how I said we were going to find the intercept? At some point they were going to ask you that. We already did all the work when we were sketching our graph. The t-intercept. T is time, so which graph is that, y or x? X. T is time, it's your x. What was your intercept? Yep, 16. It says state the t-intercept, not the value of t at the intercept. Those are two different things. If it asks you for the t-intercept, you have to give me a coordinate. The coordinate is going to be 16, 0. If it asks you for the t value at the t-intercept, you should say 16. I will always guarantee you that you have to answer this more than that. Almost guarantee it. What's the v-intercept, and explain what it represents? It's 20,000. Yeah, 20 grand. Josh. 0,20,000. And what does it represent? What does that mean? Yeah, Joe. Right, so what does that mean in context of our question? Price of your car when you first bought it. 20 grand.
So 20,000 is the y-intercept of it that flickers.
So whenever you write out coordinates, they always go x, comma, y. Always alphabetical. Yeah. And that's a good question. G, determine the domain and range. This is going to be a little bit trickier because we're used to just doing, it's an element of the reals, right? That doesn't work out here. So, range. Your range is your x or your y value? Y. It's your y value. Line it up alphabetically. Domain and range. X and y. What is your lovely range? Josh?
Y, such as Y
Y
is
such that
Y is greater. Y is less than 1,000.
close. You got half of it. You gave me the maximum value. What's in this in there? Pardon? Yeah, you got to give me the maximum and the minimum. So start with the minimum. 0. You always use the same signs if you do it from minimum to maximum. You put y again, same symbol, and you put in 20 grand. But you're not done yet. So there's one more thing you need. Y is an element of the reals, correct. You have to say what y could be. In this question, y could be absolutely anything. It could be any decimal, right? So it's an element of the reals. So you go, at the end of it, you would go y, funky e, funky r. Y is an element of the reals. Your domain is your x values. So it would be x such that. What's the minimum? 0. Less than or equal to x. Less than or equal to 16. Because that's, after 16, the graph stops. It's not worth anything anymore. It's gone to the salvage yard. It's done for. Comma what? What is it? X is an element to the reals again. If you want to be specific with time, you can get it right down to any point, right? So yeah, X is an element of those reals again. Easy peasy. Time. Okay, I want you to go back to your notes if you're struggling and do that question again. So that next one on your paper. We're not going to do it as a group. Instead, what we're going to do